Welcome, disciples of the internet, to the third and final Super Mario Maker 2 series. And following the order of game themes in Mario Maker 2, the next game is New Super Mario Bros. U. Because Super Mario Bros. Is too simple, and 3D World is out of the picture due to lack of dimensions. This is the last big Mario game I'll do a big video series on, but possibly in the future I'll make 1 or 2 videos on some miscellaneous Mario games.
Hey, you pinch my toast. Get the hint?
Now, a theme that has been subtly growing in the background is how each Mario game makes the making process more and more complex. And in Mario U, every single coin and platform likes to do something different and wacky. The first world of Mario U is the Acorn Plains, your generic Super Mario Bros. Grass world. But before the making process begins, I am contractually obligated to mention that at the time of writing the script, only 13% of people watching are subscribed. So make sure to subscribe and hold the notification bell to view even more jelly-infused content. Acorn Plains Way. Now, what does this level do to differentiate itself from literally any other first Mario 2D level in existence? Well, we got squirrels. They're technically called waddle wings, and they act by slowly gliding forwards. But what are squirrels? But tree moles. So each waddle wing will be replaced with a winged Monty mole that does make the level a tad bit more chaotic, but this game is too easy anyways. Mario U introduces the concept of coins not wanting to just act like coins, and some coin rows will appear only once the players entered a certain space. This and several other coin flourishes will have to be ignored from this point forward. The next mechanic is one more prevalent in the modern 2D games, secret invisible wall areas, which are now not so secret, but at least semi-solids can distinguish these areas. This next mechanic is one that I didn't even know was in Super Mario Maker 2 until I recreated 2 whole Mario platformers, adaptive power-ups. You see, whenever you hit a question mark block in a Mario game, they usually don't give you a normal power-up if you're not in your super form. They just give you a mushroom. And once you have one, you can finally get a normal power-up. And much to my surprise, this is a feature built into Mario Maker 2, where if you click and hold onto any power-up, you can add a mushroom to it, giving the power-up the adaptive quality. After the midpoint of the level is a red coin ring, which is essentially a little mini-game where you have to grab 8 red coins under a time limit in order to receive a power-up or 1-up. I swapped the normal red coins for some key red coins, but sadly the game only allows room for 5 key coins, and the 1-up will have to be stored in a bonus sub-area. Also, while in the other games it was much easier to tell if a platform would move or not, about every other platform does some weird wacky motion. Not really a good sign for the rest of the game if the first level is already this problematic. Tilted tunnel. Dude, if I see one more diagonal pipe, I'm going to lose it. It seems like Nintendo just wants to keep the rotation tool to themselves, and the only real diagonal objects we got in Mario Maker 2 are slopes and conveyor belts for some reason. One more problem with the pipes in this level is how red pipes are much faster as different pipe colors have different speeds, making the level unintentionally harder. It just seems that every level change just serves to make the game harder. The next problem are these sporadically shaped gem blocks that move in all sorts of directions. Yeah, I'm not doing that. The closest I have to this are square-shaped semi-solids, and only in 2 colors. It does make the level seem a whole lot more tame, but at least if the player can progress across these gaps, that's good enough for me. Something else that has been increasing in the background of these Mario Maker 2 levels is the level length. In Super Mario World, you just had to go to the second sub-area, but now in Mario U, not even 2 sub-areas are enough to fit the massive lengths of some of these levels. So most of the time, these levels will just abruptly end about 3/4 of the way through. Honestly, good enough for me. The less time I can spend around these diagonal objects, the better. The big downside to this, other than the missed content, is those of the sub-areas. Where will they be placed? Well, in the sky, I guess. Just don't bonk your head. Sadly, since the level ends prematurely, the secret exit for this level is also now 10 times shorter. Blooper Secret Lair, the secret level of Acorn Plains, and it's definitely a water level that I've made. The only enemies in this level are bloopers, so there are no problems in that department, but then the game designers really had to hit me with the moving pipes card. They also happen to be moving pipes that spit out some air currents, so whenever there are moving pipes, I will orient them upwards and put some twisters under enter them. The second to last room with this level is also a quasi-vertical area. I mean, it is vertical, but not high enough to justify using a vertical sub-area. Crushing Cog's Tower. Now we have a proper vertical level, albeit one that is slightly too long to fit in one vertical sub-area, but that's okay. We only miss out on a row of dry bones and one singular cog. Speaking of the cogs, they are massive and are definitely required to move the player throughout the level. So what I did was fill in the center, then wrap a track around it and put a lift on every segment. This fortress level is also the first in game to have an unavailable power-up with the Ice Flower, but who really cares about the Ice Flower? In all ways, just a worse penguin suit. The boss fight for this level is also just basic boom boom. Video game boss design is my passion. Yoshi Hill, the second level in a row to have some more circular rotating platforms. But since the player only needs to interact with one side of these platforms, the diagonal ability of these conveyor belts actually does come in handy. But other than the rolling hills, this level doesn't do much to differentiate itself from the first level. I mean, there is Yoshi. Mushroom Hills. Now I was actually a little surprised on how tame this level was, other than the fact that this level really likes to do the newfangled NSMBU tactic of not having blocks be on a 1x1 grid, but actually sometimes have a 0.5 block grid, which is just absolutely blasphemous, and forces me to make a couple aesthetic changes here and there. But onto the unique mushroom platforms, we got slightly thicker mushroom that goes up and down, so you already know I'm just gonna turn that into a lift, and a mushroom that springs from side to side, so I switched it with the seesaw. Thankfully, seesaws can actually stretch up to 15 blocks in length, unlike the lifts, which can only stretch up to 8 for some reason. This level also has the first unreachable star coin. Star coins, which are this game's collectibles, have been replaced with the 10, 30, and 50 coin, just like the dragon coins of Super Mario World. Since this 50 coin is intended to be reached with either a propeller mushroom, a baby Yoshi, or a super acorn, and since the only real power-ups in this level are fire flowers, the only way to reach this coin is through self-sacrifice. The next quote-unquote new enemies are these vicious piranha plants. Whenever one is not placed in a pipe, they vigorously bite the surrounding air, which doesn't do much but change the hitboxes of these plants. In the sub area for this level is the first appearance of the green coin rings, which are basically just red coin rings, but there are 5 groups of 3 green coins the player must collect. So at least the number of collectibles is most accurate. Rise of the piranha plants. There are some piranha plants, and they do be rising. But in all seriousness, that's the actual main draw of this level, aside from some of the miscellaneous tilted semi-solids. But this level doesn't seem to have much of note aside from these piranha plants that are now deleted due to the diagonal ceiling. One more small thing that I actually find quite funny, there is this long section near the end where you have to jump on a row of platforms and attempt to get on the top of the flagpole, but now that the area is in the second sub area, all of your platforming efforts will be in vain. Lemmy Swingback Castle. You know, props to Lemmy for sticking to the name of his own castle. The only real threat in this level are the swinging platforms that have replaced with lifts that move side to side, with nearby chains for optimal immersion. For each of the Koopaling bosses in this game, there is this little interlude section that doesn't really serve any real gameplay purpose, and especially since there isn't really enough room left, this room can be skipped. The boss battle against Lemmy adds bombs along with Lemmy's classic magic balls, so I put some slow blue pipes on the ceiling that output both little bombs and one big bomb. Of course, it does make the battle much harder than it should be, but as mentioned before, that isn't my biggest concern. And with that, Acorn Plains is finished, and as my viewers of other Mario Maker 2 series expect at this point, it is now time for my ranking of my recreations from this world from least accurate to most accurate in the original game. Number 8, Tilted Tunnels. Number 7, Crushing Cog's Tower. Number 6, Lemmy Swingback Castle. Number 5, Yoshi Hill. Number 4, Acorn Plains Way. Number 3, Blooper's Secret Lair. And number 2, Mushroom Heights. And number 1, Rise of the Piranha Plants. Before the video ends, I just want to say that with this world, I already have my third Mario Maker 2 account ready, so if you want to play the first world of New Super Mario Bros. U, just follow my Mario Maker ID currently shown on screen. And if you want to view more content like this, or just more jelly-soaked sleep paralysis demon fuel, stick around.